The Idaho murders, Moscow, Idaho. So my family is predominantly from Idaho, Eastern Washington and Idaho. So I've got a lot of family in and around the area. My parents grew up in Idaho. So we all know Moscow, Idaho. So when it came on the news, we're like, Moscow, Idaho, like nothing ever happens in Moscow, Idaho. So we as a family have just been paying attention to the case because we know the area so well. Beautiful up there. And Moscow's like a really cute town, but it's a college town. So somebody wrote in and just asked like, what happened? So here's what I got. Oh, the first thing I want to say about this case, I sat down a couple days ago and looked at it. And I said, show me, like, what's going on? What's going on? And they actually took me back to a case um, that made the news when I was living up in DFW. So I don't know what year it was. I was trying to figure it out, and I wish I could find this case because I want to know what happened, and I can't find it anywhere. Um, there was a woman in the DFW, Texas area. I believe she was killed at a church very early in the morning by herself. And the video surveillance, and if you know this case, like if you can find a link, like send it to me. It comes across my mind so often. There is surveillance footage of somebody coming in. Again, I believe it's a church coming in, and they've got this like head to toe costume on. And they're kind of like walking strangely, completely out of place. Like you can't see anything on their body, anything on their face. And it's always stuck with me. And I want to say this happened. I lived up there 2013 and 2016. So it's got to be one of those years. Um, but when I was living there, they couldn't figure out who it was that killed this woman. And when I asked about the Moscow, Idaho murders, that's the case that came to mind. It was like out of the ordinary, strange, elusive, right? So it's like this very weird tone to it. Um, and with that woman's case, I felt like it was somebody that she knew. Okay. And I feel like the same with this. So let me read you what I channeled for the Moscow, Idaho deal. I believe that the killer went through the back of the house, targeting one of the women in particular. In order to get away with her murder, he killed the other people on the second and third floors of the house. He'd been in and around that house before. I do feel like he left some evidence at the house. It's almost like he felt unseen or not good enough for one of the women. This wasn't random. I feel like one of the roommates on the first floor that lived, the roommates that were on the first floor that lived were passed out and did not hear what happened. I actually do believe them. I do feel like there was a method of silencing the victims. This was premeditated, and I do believe he'll be found. This, like, the visual they show me is like somebody like stalking the house. They kind of like standing there watching it. But one of the scenes that they showed me, and it's like playing Pictionary, trying to figure out, what they're showing me and interpreting it. But it was like somebody who felt like an outsider. So it wouldn't surprise me if like he was rejected or laughed at or felt like he didn't belong. Um, but completely out of his mind, which I mean, obviously he killed 4 people. Um, but his energy feels, how would I describe this? Not in his right mind, obviously, but it's strange because like even in astrology, I can look at like all the planets and I could pick a planet and like put the energy in front of me and all the planets feel different, but I can't always articulate and put it to words. Um, Not white noise. The killer's energy is almost like a high pitched kind of like out of this world kind of energy, which also lends itself to like him being an outsider. But being that they like, I feel like he's been in and around that house before. I feel like it's somebody who like knew the layout of the house. So it's somebody I feel like they would have known. Maybe not well, because he doesn't feel like he has like that big of a connection to them. But I feel like they would know him. At least one of them would know him. Okay. Whew. It's just like I pray for all of the, the families of those victims. It's so sad.